the Merciful. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello and welcome to the Open Dialogue. This week's discussion is on mindfulness. When we think about mindfulness, what are the things that come to our mind in order to be able to lead a healthy and happy life? What are the things that we have to be mindful of? And also, the opposite of mindfulness is heedlessness. If we are careless regarding certain aspects in our life, then what are the physical and mental impacts that being heedless of certain things can have on us? And also, heedlessness, what effect does it have spiritually on us? To discuss this topic, we have with us our respected guest, Brother Abbas Lokats, who is a nutritionist and a lifestyle coach. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Brother Abbas. Nice to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be on the show and privileged to be able to speak and discuss some of the aspects of your topic.
Thank you. I think your voice is a little low. I'm just going to check with the technical room to see if your voice is clear. We are also joined by our Honorable Hujjatul Islam wal Muslimin, Syed Mohammad Razavi, who is the head of the Religious Advisory Board at the Shia Islamic Education Society in London. Assalamu alaikum, Syed. How are you?
Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you for hosting.
Thank you for joining us. Brother, before we enter the topic, I think I would like, since we are celebrating the days of Ghadir, this important grand event that took place, so I'd like to congratulate all the believers and all the Muslim Ummah on this special day of Ghadir. And I would like Syed to actually tell us a few words regarding this grand event and its significance for the Muslim Ummah before we enter the topic for discussion today.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yes, we have celebrated Eid called Eid al-Ghadir, and the reason it is called Eid al-Ghadir and the reason we celebrate it is a very important event that took place on that day. And this is the day when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Holy Quran says, اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. This is the day I completed your religion and completed all my blessings on you. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Holy Quran says that this is the day I completed everything, so it must be a very important day. Although there are some of our brothers who say that well, Eid al-Adha, another Eid is important in Islam. Yes, there is no doubt that is important. But the verse of Holy Quran also emphasizes on the importance of this Eid. And the reason for importance of this Eid is the important mission that Prophet Muhammad was supposed to convey. And the angels came to Prophet Muhammad and told him that فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلْ فَمَا بَلَّغْتَ رِسَالَتَهُ. If you do not complete and convey this message, O Prophet, you have not completed the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, and this also gives the importance of this day. And if you look at the event itself, the way it was organized, everything that happened in this event is unique. Normally, people get together
Syed,
in
what
mosque.
had happened? Sorry to cut you off there, Syed. What had happened in this day? Who was appointed on this day, and why is it a significant event? What was exactly what had happened?
Yeah, this is what I was going to say, that this is the day the event itself took place in a very unique place, unique way, and unique method was adopted to do that. And so, if you look at psychologically, any important thing, if you want to do an important, if you convey an important message, you try to make it into a very special event and very special celebration. That's what Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam did. He, after his last Hajj, when everybody reached, when he reached to the area called Ghadir, he told
Yes.
everyone who had gone forward to come back, and anyone who had not reached to reach the area. And then he created a unique stage made out of the saddles of the camels. And then he climbed over the saddles of the camels with Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam, and lifted the hands of Ali ibn Abi Talib so high that, and this is not my words, these are the words narrated by Sunni and Shia sources, that he raised his hand so high uh, of himself, and Ali's hand was in his hand, and the hands were risen so high that people could easily see the underarms of Prophet Muhammad and Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib so visibly that, I mean, everybody could see. And then he said, "Man kuntu Mawla fahada Aliyun Mawla." Whoever I have been Mawla and leader, Ali is my Mawla. Ali is their Mawla and leader. And unfortunately, our brothers try to interpret this as Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was declaring friendship to Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam. If it was only friendship, why he made such an effort, and why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to him, if you do not convey the message, you have not conveyed my message. If you, and when the message was conveyed, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Holy Quran says, Al-Yawma akmaltum lakum deenakum wa atmamtu alaykum ni'mati wa raditu lakum al-Islam deena. So these verses of, we don't even need to go in hadith and narrations. The verses of Quran itself prove the importance of this day, and shows that if this day had not taken place, if message was not conveyed, the message would not have been conveyed, and deen and religion would not have been completed. So that's why we celebrate and we congratulate the Imam of the age, Imam Mahdi Ajalallah Ta'ala Farajuhu, on this important day.
Thank you very much for explaining the successorship and the day that Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib inherited the Messenger of Allah, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So now I think we should start the topic. And Brother Abbas, I would like you to explain to the viewers your work. So you're a nutritionist and lifestyle coach. What is it exactly that you do day to day? And why are you so passionate about this, about health and lifestyle?
Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, like I said again, for having me on the show. It's honor to be, able to discuss these topics because I'm quite passionate about them. So you make my title sound a lot more glamorous than it really is. I'm actually just somebody who trains people and helps them to unlock their potential within themselves, really. So it's not something that is anything special that I'm doing. The hard work comes from the individual themselves. So I'm just trying to show them a different way to live their life as opposed to maybe the way that they're currently living. So I guide them with regards to their lifestyle, what they're doing, how they eat, how they sleep, how they sit, their posture, the exercise side of things, and obviously, mindfulness. When you say mindfulness, everything is mindfulness when it comes to thinking about looking after the amana that we've been given, which is our bodies. And unfortunately, in this day and age, we're seeing a lot more people living very unhealthy lifestyles. One, because the accessibility of the different types of foods, and two, just I think life has become a lot more hectic, and people just don't stop and slow down and take their time to think about what they're doing, where they're going, what they're eating, and just generally how they're living. So I'm just there to try and help people to wake up from that sleep that they're in.
So, looking after your lifestyle, does it also have mental impact on individuals if they are? So you're teaching people how to exercise and how to eat correctly, and how to live a good physical life. But does that have also a mental impact on people?
100%, 100%, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, there's been extensive research and studies been done to prove that when you are exercising, you've got a lot less likelihood of actually suffering any kind of mental health problems, depression, anxiety, and all of those stresses of life that you kind of carry on your shoulders. And, you know, we all have them. I don't think anybody's exempt. However rich you are, however famous you are, I think the more rich you are and the more famous you are, I think the more stresses you carry, you know, maybe not, you know, on the forefront, and people see you as having, you know, living such a great life, but everybody's got their stresses. So I think that the important thing for me is to try and help people to see that when they are exercising, they are actually gaining more than just the physical benefit, the mental benefit that you get. And also, Maulana would probably correct me here if I'm wrong, but spiritually, if you're not fit healthily, then I don't think, you know, your ibadah can be as profound as it could be if you were physically fit.
Well, let's bring Maulana in. Maulana, uh, Syed Ali Khamenei, we've seen him always speak about the importance of exercise and going out to mountains, which is something that he does early mornings. But just on a lighter note, are you a healthy person? Have you ever been interested in exercise? And because that's not the image that we tend to have of the religious people, that that they look after their health. So it's always good to lead by example. Have you ever been interested in exercise, and sport have you been interested in, just for the interest of the viewers, if any?
Well, my father, Rahmatullah alayh, was the champion in wrestling in the whole province of Punjab, and he was a Maulana. And while I was studying in holy city of Qom, I was the champion in wrestling in my school in the holy city of Qom. And we used to play basketball and all other sports. My father, when he went to Africa, uh, people for some reason didn't used to come to the mosque, and there were lots of youngsters. So he called he hired a local person, and because in Africa they have elephant grass. If you let the grass grow, it grows in the size of an elephant, and an elephant can hide in it. So that kind of grass had grown around the mosque. So he
Wow.
cleared the grass and created a tennis court and badminton court, and organized competition between youth. And at the time of prayer, he used to take them to the mosque and lead prayers for them and give lessons to them about Islam. Although recently, after moving, this was our lifestyle back home or in other countries. After moving to UK, unfortunately, our lifestyle has become very busy and very mm, uh, involved in doing other things and solving the problems of our lifestyle, and dealing with the problems of other who refer to us in different cases. So we rarely
Explain
get.
to us, Maulana, what is it that you actually do? Brother Abbas explained his work. What is it that you do, Sayed, on a day-to-day basis?
Well, I mean, as a profession, I'm minister of religion. I moved to UK around 1986 after graduating from the Hussain in Qom. And when I moved to UK, I joined Hussain Islamic Mission in West London and served the community for around 7 years. When I joined the Hussaini mission, I started to receive many domestic cases, domestic issues cases, and a lady came to me who had been messed around for almost 25 years, and she had gone to so many scholars and ulama to get a divorce from her abusive husband, and nobody was giving, and nobody had the authority to deal with such cases. And she had ended up going to Sunni scholars, and they did her divorce. And then later on, she realized that the divorce should take place according to madhab of the husband, and husband was Shia, so the divorce was not valid. Then she came to me and asked me solve her problem, and I wrote letter to Maraja Taqleed and told them this is how some husbands abuse system. They divorce their wives legally, but they don't divorce them Islamically, and then they move on and they have multiple relationships, and they don't care about their wives. So I wrote a letter, and Alhamdulillah, Maraja Taqleed gave a reply. And from 1986 until now, I have never been uh, in a status where had not, I did not have had the permission from the Maraja Taqleed to handle such difficult cases. And according to some of my teachers, I don't need permission. I have done enough research and studies on this subject that I can have my own opinion and give my own opinion on these cases and don't need anyone's permission. So I handle and deal with abusive cases, and the cases which get stuck elsewhere, they come to me at the end. And I'm not saying that there are other ulama who are not able to do that, but there are, like, Iraqi ulama have their connection to back home. If they do if they handle such cases, their family members get threatened and abused. So in such cases, they pass these cases to me because I don't have any relative in Iraq.
Well, clearly you are very busy, but Brother Abbas, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, Maulana very impressively has disclosed that he was involved in wrestling as well as his dad, but due to busy lifestyle and helping others, he now has a different lifestyle. What is I presume you see a lot of people like this who always have a reason and a valid reason for not being not being in tune with their physical health and their nutrition. What is your advice to such individuals?
I think it's a difficult area, and sometimes for me, whenever I'm training a client or taking on somebody that I want to try and help, what I say to anybody that speaks to me is, these days I'm a bit more picky with who I train, because I want to see the hunger in them. I want to see them have that passion to actually become a better version of themselves. Now, obviously, Maulana is a very busy man, and I'm sure he's got a lot of things going on. But I'm sure Maulana has his time. He can find half an hour to do some walking, to do some running, maybe. I don't know. I mean, obviously, depends. As you get older, we don't know how our health is going to be, right? So we can't be taking that health for granted. For me, I think that it's small steps, and if we can do little things, especially like, for example, someone like Maulana who's very busy, if he can do something and just slowly build it up, that would be great. And I mean, there's too many Maulanas that I see and I speak to who don't exercise at all, right? And I think there can be people in all different areas of work where they can not use an excuse, but say, I'm very busy, I've got so much going on, right? But the The question is, are you too busy for your own health and fitness? Because in essence, if you don't stay healthy and don't stay fit, isn't it going to jeopardize the other work that you do? Because maybe then you won't be capable of doing other stuff and taking on more work. So I think there has to be a balance of mind, body, and soul. And if you can find that balance, alhamdulillah,
That's an excellent point, because that just reminded me of a saying, al-aql as-salim fil jism as-salim, that a healthy mind is in a healthy body. So Syed, moving on from this point, and what Brother Abbas had alluded to earlier, is that being careless about your physical health and your nutrition will also have an impact on spirituality of a person. Do you agree with this? And what does Islam say about mindfulness, about our and and the effects that it can have on spirituality?
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us with a physical body and metaphysical side of our creation as well. So we need to keep our physical side healthy and also metaphysical side healthy as well. Metaphysical side can only be healthy if you look after your body, as brother was mentioning. You and there are narrations from Ahlebait salam that we should divide our time into several sections. Some time for worship, some time for eating, some time for exercise, sometime for family, sometime for community, and this is how we should divide our time. And yes, yeah, I totally agree with him. It's not an excuse to say that I'm busy. You have to take some time out, and I have to. I advise myself that I have to take some time out to go, or at least, I mean, at least at this age, I'm around 62 now. Uh, I should at least walk 20 to 30 minutes. If I don't jog, if I don't run, I should walk. And all I have to do is make an effort. And as far as the physical side of our body is concerned, if you look at the verses of Holy Quran, there are 250 verses in Holy Quran which discusses food. If food was wrong, why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed 250 verses about food? And there are tens of hundreds of or tens and thousands of narrations about food and different thing and how to keep healthy and fit. And then there are narrations from Imam Ali Ahlebait salam, which teaches us how to be not extravagant, how to be careful what we eat, what we take in our stomach. And Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib والسلام, used to say, Man aqalla akluhu safa fikruhu. That we should not just continuously eat. I mean, 250 verses of Holy Quran about food does not mean that we should spend our time just eating food and enjoying food only. We have to do exercise, we have to do other work, and we have to do community service as well. So Imam Ali used to say, Man aqalla akluhu safa fikruhu. Whoever eats less, his mind and thought will be much clearer than the person who overeats. And because result of overeating is you will feel tired, you need to rest, you need to go to sleep, and then you will put weight on without exercise, and that will cause more trouble and more problem. So your mind will not work in right direction. In order to clarify your mind, you have to eat healthily and have a healthy, fit life.
Thank you for that, Brother Abbas. To come in here, of course, it's not just about the amounts that you eat, and but it's about or comfort eating. It's about the quality of what you're eating. So, as a nutritionist, please advise us about food and the habits that you see in our communities. And if you had a magic wand, what was it? What would you exactly change about our
it's a
eating habits?
yeah, it's an absolutely amazing point, very valid point. Maulana touched on that point, and it's good that he did, because the thing is, when you look at overall body health, right, you can exercise for 2 hours, 3 hours a day, but if then you're not fueling your body correctly and you're not eating the right foods, you've just wasted all that time. I always tell people this, I mean, 90% is your diet. So 90% of your health and fitness, it hinges on what you eat. And, as the saying goes, you are what you eat. If you're then not eating the right food, you can't expect to see the results with regards to the exercise side of things. So if there was any small little piece of advice that I would give viewers and I would give people who maybe at this moment don't even have the mindset where they're thinking about exercising. Maybe it comes across their mind every now and then, but they don't actually take an active step forward into doing something about it. I would say look at your nutrition, look at what you're eating, look at how you're eating, look at when you're eating, right? And try and address that. And if you can do that, you're going to make a massive impact on your physical fitness, right? And that will then lead you to becoming someone that's got the energy to be able to then look at going into doing exercise or playing some sports or doing some recreation, which then can lead you to better things. So it's paramount. Nutrition is most important, and unfortunately, in this country and in a lot of the Western countries, and I mean even in the Eastern countries now, we're just seeing an absolute change in the way people eat. And if we can change a few things within our diet, we'd see an absolute amazing change within our bodies.
So what are the things? So if I asked you for 3-4 things that you would advise people to change in regards to their nutrition as a sense of urgency, what are those 3 or 5 points that you would advise people to look at?
If there's any viewers in Leicester that are watching, they've probably heard this from me so many times that they're probably sick of it. So here goes anyway. I mean, if they've heard it once, they're going to hear it again, and maybe one day it might sink into them, So the most important thing, which is quite funny that you mentioned it, because I mean, I've got 2 sons, and one of them is 19, the other one is 14, and my 14-year-old has always been interested in, from a very young boy, he always used to look at what I eat, and he used to want to eat what I wanted to eat. But then there was a point in his life where he kind of moved away from that, and he became his own person, and he decided, oh, well, that peer pressure was there, and he wanted to eat all the different things that he wanted to eat. But suddenly he's come back on track again, and now he's with me, and he does everything that I advise him to do. He asks me before he eats. But if there's one thing that, and he'll vouch for this as well, if there's one thing that you can actually change straight away, is cut out the sugar in your diet. Sugar is one of the biggest killers to the human body, and the amount of sugar that's consumed by majority of people is so insane that if you were to put all that sugar in a bowl, you wouldn't even, you'd fill it and it would overflow.
Can we replace those with sweetness, Brother Abbas? Is that a better choice?
To a certain extent, yes, it is a better choice, but at the same time, sweeteners also have their downsides as well. And there's a lot of studies and research been done to suggest that sweetness can lead to certain cancers as well. So, I think the best thing is to cut sugar out altogether if you can.
So that's 1, and 2 more. What other life eating habits that you would ask people to change immediately?
I would say immediately look at how much water you're drinking, because if you're not hydrated, you're not going to feel energetic. You're going to feel lethargic. You're going to feel drained, and you're not going to get the best out of your day if your water intake is not high. So definitely water is number 2.
And water can be boring, so how do we solve that problem?
Yeah, water can be boring. I guess, with water, it's a very difficult situation, because you can't, if you add something to water, it kind of takes away the benefit of the water. So I'm going to stick to my guns on this one. And if you want to drink water, you can't add dilute in there. You can't substitute anything for water. water is water, and that's
Okay, and your last point before I move to Maulana, we're fast running out of time.
okay. So number three would be to look at the type of so your foods are broken down into macros. You've got proteins, you've got fats, and you've got carbohydrates. Okay, carbohydrates is what your body uses for energy. So you can have two types of carbohydrates. You can have fast burning carbohydrates and slow burning carbohydrates. What you want to try and do is choose the carbohydrates that are going to give you that energy strategically over a period of time and not give you that immediate kind of energy rush, but then you'll come down and crash as well after that. So quick example would be white bread, white rice, white pasta. Choose wholemeal options and whole grain options of that, and that's another quick, third point suggestion for people who are watching that want to try and change their diet.
Fantastic. Thank you for that advice. Syed, mindfulness in Islam, how are there any practices that we can increase our mindfulness so that our spirituality also grows? And also, the opposite of mindfulness is being heedless. What are the things that we can be heedless of and hence will affect our spirituality? If you can talk to us a little bit about this, please.
Well, it depends on your lifestyle. I mean, spiritual lifestyle and physical lifestyle and what you eat. Be a combination of everything. So we have to keep the balance for everything. We should not just overdo the spiritual side and ignore the body, and we should not overdo everything about the body and ignore the spiritual side. We have to equally take care of both, and we have, as I said, there are narrations that we have to have time for each of them. Uh, as far as food is concerned, the narrations that we have from Ahlebait, especially Imam Jafar Sadiq, he used to say, eat at least twice a day. And Imam Jafar Sadiq used to say, don't get out of your house without eating. And then there is a narration from Prophet Muhammad that the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala never used to ignore the evening meal. And the evening meal used to be at when after Isha prayers or after darkness, not before darkness. And then Imam Raza alayhi salatu wasalam has another solution. He used to say that eat every 8 hours. And then we have again more narrations from Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. Eat when you feel hungry. Don't just keep filling your stomach and don't become a robot. Because this is the time I have to eat whether I'm hungry or not. Eat if you are hungry. If you feel that you're not hungry and there is no unhealthy reason for not being hungry, then you should not eat. You should only eat when your body needs it. And same thing about spiritual side, and that we should not overdo it. We should do what is required according to Islamic teachings. If we live our life according to Islamic teachings, whatever we are doing has a spiritual benefit. If I'm doing my business according to Islamic teachings, my business becomes worship. If I'm serving the community by taking care of Islamic principles, my serving the community becomes a worship. So I get and gain the benefit from it. And so a spiritual benefit is not only just sitting on Musalla in direction of Mecca. Of course, that is good as well, but not at the cost of ignoring your health and family and your responsibility in the community. You should not be doing that. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib والسلام, used to go and tell off those people who had left the world and were spending all their time in worship. He used to tell them, "You are enemy of Allah. You are enemy of yourself." So we have to keep the balance.
That's interesting. Brother Abbas, of course, Maulana has just raised very important points. And how do you reconcile between all of these different patterns of eating that we have been advised? What does this boil down to? Is it based on individual individual, I don't know what to say, individual circumstances? Uh, how can we reconcile between all of these different patterns? Eat when you're hungry, or you must eat before you leave the house, or you must eat the night meal, or you only eat twice a day, or you eat every hour. Which one is it?
every 8 hours.
Every 8 hours.
Yeah, if you eat every 8 hours, Maulana, then I think you'll just about manage 2 meals if you're lucky. It depends on how much sleep you need. But I mean,
That's
I
what Maulana
guess,
said, that the hadith says eat twice a day.
yeah. So
Yeah,
eating twice a day,
twice a day is the highest recommendation.
Hmm.
was that the minimum recommendation or the highest recommendation?
Yeah, the highest recommendation is that at least eat twice a day. At
At
least.
least, okay. Yeah. So from that point, I mean, I guess I don't want to say it in a way that sounds like, obviously back at that time, they may not have had all the information about nutrition that maybe the body, we've learned so many new things about the body now that are different, or maybe have changed, our lifestyles have changed, the way that we address certain things have changed. From a dietary
But Brother
perspective,
Abbas, sorry to jump in there. Sorry to cut you off there. Um, but that's not just the Maulana's quotes. Also, if we look at modern time diets, they are all conflicting with each other, and it's exactly the same thing that we have. One diet says something, another one says something, and all of them have evidence, and all of them have basis, and all of them don't work for everybody, and yet they do work for some people. So,
100%,
is it
you're
related
correct.
to body type?
Yes, so basically, what it is, you're spot on with that. I mean, we live in a time where we've got information anxiety because of the fact that there's so much information out there. Everything that you can look at and say that this is good for you, there'll be a counter to that, and there'll be someone that says no, it's not. Right. So how do you overcome this? What I tell my clients, what I tell my friends and family is that you've got to do a lot of trial and error with regards to food and diet. You've got to do what's right for you. So the way that I eat and when I eat and the timings that I eat may not suit somebody else. Now, how are they going to basically fit their meals into a day when they've got other things that they're doing that is just going to mean it's impossible for them to be able to eat the way that I eat, maybe? So you're right. It's all about individuals. Every individual is different. Every person is different. Everyone's lifestyles are different, and everyone's even dietary requirements are different. So someone might be low on iron and need extra iron in their food. Somebody may be really low in weight and want to add extra, carbohydrates and fats in their diet. So you've got to take every person with their own merits and then look at that person as an individual. You can't give one broad answer and expect it to cover the whole spectrum of humanity, and every person can fit into that criteria. So
Perfect. Sadly, that's all we have time for today. But Brother Abbas, how can the viewers reach you? So if they want further advice from you, or they want to get in touch with you, where can they find you?
of
And how
course,
can
the
they
most
find you?
welcome. Anybody who wants any advice, any help, if they need me to guide them, I'd be, you know, they're most welcome to contact me. I am on Instagram. I'm not very busy on social media. I try not to go on there too much because it can take away a lot of time on social media. But I'm on Instagram. I'm Mr. PT Leicester.
Perfect.
So
They can
that's,
drop you a message, and you'll surely
yes,
reply
100%.
whenever you see them.
No
Perfect.
problem
And
at all.
Syed, how can thank you. And Syed, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, mobile phone, Ahlebait TV, and
Are you on
they
any
can
of
call
the social media networks?
Yes,
platforms?
Instagram, Facebook has banned me. I'm not allowed to use Facebook, so I've been banned by Facebook. But I'm on Instagram, Twitter.
Perfect. Well, thank you to both of you for sharing your insight with us. It was a very interesting conversation. I've learned a lot from it. I'm sure the viewers have too. Thank you so much, and thank you to